Just want to remind you guys, this episode is presented by Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use the code JUICE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Colts Nation, welcome back to Bring the Juice. Well, guys, so far for the Indianapolis Colts on day one of legal tampering, we have two moves that we are here to talk about. Obviously, we're recording this right now at about 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it's subject to change at this point. But right now, Derek, the two moves the Colts have made. The first move is the Indianapolis Colts have restructured offensive tackle Braden Smith's contract. We haven't got a final number on this yet, Derek, but I would hope it would be, some people have speculated maybe half or somewhere around there. So what is that, like 8 to 10 million, possibly more than that? I'm not 100% sure what that's going to look like from a cap space standpoint in 2025. But regardless, Derek, this was a move that the Indianapolis Colts needed to make here, either that or cutting Braden Smith. And, I've obviously been on the record saying I believe Braden Smith, when he's healthy, he's a really, really good right tackle for you. And obviously the nearly $20 million you were set to pay him this year, that's just not a reality. Like, you just can't go into this offseason, into this free agency period, paying him that amount of money for a guy that's missed time and then obviously had the personal stuff last year. Mm-hmm. With all that. So what were your thoughts here on the Indianapolis Colts, kind of reworking a little bit of that contract for Braden Smith?
And of course, that move happened right about when Twitter decided it was going to crap the bed today, right before free agency started, So, yeah. Of course, things are going crazy there. But that move before free agency even started, definitely a good decision there. You and I have both been on the train of cutting Braden Smith altogether. But, if you want to give Matt Gonsalves the benefit of the doubt to, give him another year to try to form into that position, or if, you want to think about another solution to that problem for later on, that definitely could work. Braden Smith is going to be a free agent in 2026 anyway. So, of course, he's, going to be a free agent next year anyways. He's missed a lot of time. So you're right. Like, paying $18 million for that was just not going to get it done. Like you said, we don't know the number yet as to when we're recording this. We would like to think that they probably got it knocked down anywhere between $5 million to $10 million in that frame. So, helps to get a little bit more flexibility. And it obviously helped very much in the flexibility of the next move that we're about to talk about with what the Colts are trying to do to improve the rest of the team.
Well, you would think, say 10 million, right? You had like 43, 44 million. That's over 50 million right there that you're freeing up. So you got to think, I'm just going to say 50 million, and it could be, again, depending on what happens, it could be more, it could be less. We'll say 50 million the Colts had then, and then they spent 15 of that million on going and getting a true impact player on the defensive side of the ball. I think one of the first times we've seen Chris Ballard on day one of legal tampering, going and getting a guy that's a true impact player. And, of course, talking about former Vikings safety Camryn Bynum. He's 26 years old, Derek. He's a player that's been very durable the last 3 seasons with the Minnesota Vikings, coming off a career year where he had 3 interceptions. He had the best quarterback rating allowed that he's had his entire career, and a guy I think that pairs well with Nick Cross for the foreseeable future. And also, Derek, offers you some flexibility on some of the other needs you're going to need, especially on the defensive side of the ball, right? Because now you a lot of people have been penning, safety and tight end as kind of the top 2 needs in the draft, right? We've seen all these mock drafts. People have thrown around all these different names at safety, and I'm not saying it 100% takes it off the board, but you think it drastically moves it down now for the Indianapolis Colts. And again, the Colts are a team, Derek, that need a lot of help on the defensive side of the ball and just to the roster in general. So adding a player like Bynum, I think this is, according to James Boyd, I believe, this is the biggest contract that Chris Ballard has ever handed out in free agency, which is saying something, Derek. So what are your thoughts here? I want to make sure I get this right here on what he's saying. Yeah, okay. So this is
Yeah,
what he said. He
because
said,
the DeForest Buckner one was a trade, so
yeah.
that's
So he said,
different. That's
Camryn Bynum's 4-year deal worth $60 million is the most total money the Colts have awarded an outside free agent. Anyone that wasn't on the team the previous year during Chris Ballard's 9-year tenure. So, Derek, talk about a complete philosophical change by Chris Ballard. Talk about swinging for the fences, right? And
yeah.
getting a guy that's a true young impact player at the position, an ascending player. And a big reason why that Minnesota defense a year ago, Derek, was so good was because Camryn Bynum had a career year. And so I look at that and I say, man, you have two young safeties now that you're excited about, and two young guys that have been pretty healthy their first couple seasons, playing the position. So what are your thoughts here on Camryn Bynum? Really the big notable move by the Colts here on day one of free agency.
Yeah, it shows you how much they really wanted him, right? To give that kind of money to a safety definitely is a big move, something that we never would have expected from Chris Ballard, but he did it, and he did it on day one, which is crazy to think about, Cody. But yeah, Camryn Bynum, a young, athletic, true player that has position flexibility everywhere. I think what's great about this move, Cody, is no offense to Julian Blackmon. And I think Julian Blackmon had a lot of great flexibility. I don't know if Julian Blackmon's best skill set would have been as good in Lou Anarumo's defense as Camryn Bynum's would be. Because get this, Cody. So Camryn Bynum doesn't just have free safety and safety experience. He has cornerback experience too. Was a cornerback in college and kind of dabbled in a little bit of both coming into the league. And then all of a sudden, transitioned to safety full time. And then you saw that he has now become what he is, right? And I don't think that this move is going to keep the Colts from, adding more players in the safety room. I doubt that the Colts make a big move in free agency anymore at the safety position. If they ever do anything, they might just get like a vet minimum player potentially in free agency just for depth purposes. Totally feel like they'll draft another one in the later rounds in the draft this year, no doubt. But you're right. This now provides you your two starters at the safety group. And Camryn Bynum is just a elite playmaker, a guy that's also been durable. Again, Cody, we've been saying that for the longest time. It was one of the few things that very much intrigued us about getting Camryn Bynum is he's missed 3 games in his first 4 years. That's amazing. That is incredible durability.
And he hasn't missed a game in 3 straight.
And he hasn't missed a game in the last 3 years. So, it's incredible. And that is the kind of player that you want to reward, is somebody that's going to remain, for the most part, outside of barring anything crazy happening, is a guy that's going to be, healthy. And it's not the fact that this guy hasn't tried. He leads the NFL in forced incompletions in the last 2 years among safeties. He's had over 225 tackles over the last 2 years, has had 5 interceptions over the last 2 years. The coverage grade is in pretty much the mid 70s. So, this is a guy that, again, he's all over the place. And again, Cody, I go back to the position flexibility and how his game is formatted. Lou Anarumo is going to have a lot of fun with Camryn Bynum. And, for $15 million a year, that's not a bad contract, Cody. Let's just be completely honest. Safeties, they're going for a lot more money nowadays. Xavier McKinney got that $20 million last year. Camryn Bynum at $15 million a year. You're swinging for the fences with this one. But that is definitely something that we wanted Chris Ballard to do. We wanted to see a move like this. If you can go find a young player that is ultra productive and super healthy and he's on your board, go get him. And I love it. This is a great move, and it's very exciting. And yeah, it could not have come at a better time for us Colts fans. A lot of us thinking that Chris Ballard wasn't going to do nothing to start out at free agency. And Ballard pulls off one of the biggest moves of free agency so far. As we said, guys, today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. Now, what is Prize Picks? Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Instead of battling against thousands of other players across platforms, you're basically picking 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you're choosing more or less on those stat projections to be able to watch those winnings roll in. It's very easy. Do you guys want to play along at some of Prize Picks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and UFC fighter Sugar Sean O'Malley? Well, if you guys sign up today, you can find the community plays under the promos tab of the app to view the entries of some of the biggest names on the platform and be a part of that as well. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 just like that with NBA, NHL, and college basketball entries today on Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Like a lot of other things, guys, they also offer injury insurance, so your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. So if someone exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player projection won't count against you and the rest of your entry stays live. So it's great bounce back for that one. What I love about the app as well, guys, is it's not just sports like NBA, NHL, football, and tennis, and baseball, and all these other things, but there's also a lot of others that go into it as well. If you like to place entries on video game situations like Call of Duty, CS2, Apex, if that's something that appeals to you, there's a wide variety of sports and video games and everything else that you can place entries on. And I love how expansive it is. Even just looking at the NBA, there's entries you can make with turnovers, with points. You can do combo deals, dunks, field goals attempted, all of these different things. So there's just so many different ways to make money off of these entries. Be sure to download the app today and use the code JUICE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup.
I did the jinx. I was like, I'm not gonna expect it. I'm not gonna expect it and be pleasantly surprised. And yeah, shout out to Chris Ballard being able to actually do it. And Derek, that was something last year. We heard rumors that the Colts were very interested in Xavier McKinney an offseason ago, but obviously they didn't do enough to make that deal happen, right? And you're right, going back to that $15 million a year. I mean, Javon Holland's still not with the team, and he's rumored to have interest above $15 million. And Derek, Javon Holland's a guy that's missed more time than Camryn Bynum. I mean, to be honest with you, and last season, I'll be frank with you, Camryn Bynum was a better player than Javon Holland. He just was last year. He was healthier. I know Javon Holland was coming off that injury, but yeah, he's a very, very good player. And Derek, this was something that I had been saying for a while now, right? Is I just got this sense that with Lou Anarumo and the type of defense he likes to run, it just made way too much sense for me for the Indianapolis Colts to go this route when it came to free safety, to go get a proven veteran guy out there that essentially you can plug and play, that you don't have to worry about some of the rookie lumps, some of the rookie issues that pretty much every player has, right? I don't care if it's Malachi Starks. I don't care if it's Nick Amawori, right? They're going to have issues. Not to say he's going to be a perfect player, but Derek, it's definitely more of a win now type of move for Lou Anarumo's scheme. And especially with what we saw the Colts doing this offseason when it came to their coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, from Lou Anarumo and all the different coaches they, interviewed, pretty much a DB focus from what we saw from pretty much every single candidate, right? You saw what they did when they brought in, the DB coach. You saw what they did when they brought in the guy from the Giants, right? So it's very obvious, Derek, that the Indianapolis Colts saw this secondary as a major weakness a year ago. And they felt like they needed to add big-time moves, big-time players, big-time impact on this defense. And I give them credit because they didn't secure the bag last year on multiple guys. And they did it, and for a pretty good deal, all things considered. $15 million, you'll take that for a young ascending player who's still in his prime. He's going to turn 27 this year. He's not even 27 yet. So you've got to, on that 4-year deal, you're going to be well paying him into his prime and even right at the end of his prime. I mean, you never know. Sometimes safeties can play really far into their career, so you never know. But you got a young, productive player who's been durable. I think this just makes so much sense, Derek. And, I mean, let's just frankly look at this free safety position the last couple of years. What have you not had out there? Dependability. You just haven't had it at free safety.
Yep.
As much as I like Julian Blackmon, frankly, Derek, either he's not been that great at free safety or he's been injured. And Camryn Bynum, he's been healthy and he's been productive. So it was obvious it was a big need. And I'm just glad that the Colts finally realized, hey, we got to pay a guy who produces and stays on the field. So that's a major win right there to have both those things. And the age factor is obviously a huge one as well. So I'm absolutely good with that. And Derek, I'm excited for this young safety room of him and Nick Cross. I really do believe they're two young guys coming off career seasons that can continue to get better under this coaching staff. So I'm very much excited for this move. I'm on board with this move. We debated corner or safety, and I said, honestly, Derek, I said corner at that point in time, but I was good with either, man, because you just needed an impact guy in that secondary so bad. And Camryn Bynum, he's that type of player.
Yeah, no doubt. And it maybe provides a little bit more assurance that, maybe Ballard decides he wants to do a little bit more, maybe goes and gets another big name somewhere else, which I definitely think that the Indianapolis Colts should definitely work on trying to get, because, as much as these moves have been necessary and, has been good, that there definitely is more that's needed. So hopefully 100%. This is just the beginning, a great voyage that we're about to go on here with Ballard. And I mean, listen, I can't complain, right? You get a premier safety, you cut some cap space to retain your right tackle that, is still a very good asset when he's healthy. So, all things considered,
it's not like he's 30, he's 28 years old. So he's still got some good years ahead of him if he can just put that injury stuff behind him. And It appears that he's healthy, Derek, which is definitely good news. So, to get him on a cheaper deal, to restructure that, be able to open some cap space, bring Bynum in for $15 million. I mean, I don't know how much you have. We'll say around $30 million, give or take. So that's still, Derek, a lot of cap space that you can utilize here if you're Indianapolis to go get some real impact players. Now, I'm not going to say you're going to go sign another guy for $15 to $20 million. I mean, maybe you will, maybe you won't. I don't know. But I'm saying you have that capability if you want to do that. And you need to, and like you said, you can't be done. You need to add more true playmakers here on this defensive side of the ball. Derek, I'd be happy with even just one more playmaker on the defensive side of the ball. If it's Trey Hendrickson, that would be awesome. If it's Javarius Ward, that would be amazing too. So I just think you need to add some real impact guys that you look at and you say, oh, yeah, that's a guy that's a top player at his position. And both those guys, I think, would fit the bill pretty well.
Yep, no doubt, man. Super excited about this. And hopefully, like you say, get at least one more defensive playmaker. And then we can start thinking that, this defense might look very much different next year.
Yep. And yeah, it's a good start. Like you said, it's only day one illegal tampering. So we know Chris Ballard likes to operate a lot of times on the other days too. So you never know, man. There's still a lot of good players out there for the Colts to go after potentially at corner, at, some other positions as well. So we'll see, man. Do they continue to, kind of do a little bit of a non-Ballard type of thing the last 8 years and go out and get some true impact guys in free agency? This is definitely a good start. We'll see if it continues, guys, but let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on the Braden Smith restructure? And then obviously on the Camryn Bynum signing for the Indianapolis Colts. So they secure right tackle, at least for 2025, and they secure the free safety position for the next 4 years. So let us know all those things, guys, in the comments down below. But guys, that'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, guys, go Colts.